What's up, dudes? Cryptoverse. What's going on? Let's get some folks in here. I'm busy as heck Sunday. Sunday afternoon, haven't shaved. Thought we'd get into it. Early enough for some of the European folks. It's kind of their nighttime. So, see if we can get some folks in. Make sure everything's dialed in, make sure the audio's good, make sure the video's good. We'll get some folks in here. I got the screen in front of me here. We're gonna bring up some stuff on the other screen back here. And then I'll switch to a large screen. I'm running this solo today. I got everybody's really busy. So if I go off screen a couple times, I did get a stream deck here, but it's not fully configured and I just didn't have time to mess with it today to get it kind of configured. But this should hopefully streamline some of this stuff. That way I don't have to like give folks orders and stuff off screen. And I can get this dialed in and have a lot of stuff already queued up for you guys. Again, this was from, just folks donating and stuff to the channel. We take that right back to make the channel broadcast better. This should be coming in right now in pretty high quality. We got a nice 4K camera. Internet's still the same, but I think we got it pre-buffered enough to be able to do 60 FPS at 1080p. So it should be coming in crystal clear for you guys. And then once we get the Stream Deck configured, then we can get some stuff automatically set up here so I can quickly bring things up for you guys. A lot of good stuff to talk about today. A lot going on in the crypto world right now. The price continues to slip across the board on most of the cryptocurrencies. There isn't any that's really taken not a huge hit, short of maybe Litecoin hasn't probably had the highest decrease compared to some of the other ones. I think it peaked at about 55 and it's still sitting around 38. But everything's taken a beating, and I think it will continue through probably the next couple weeks at least, probably continuing to slide some. Just from looking at the market indicators that are out there, listening to a lot of other folks' analysis, some of it that makes sense, some of it that doesn't, but we'll kind of get a little bit into that. Normally I'm not talking about price and all that. It's all about just what hardware does what with particular coins and what is there to mine and stuff. But a lot of people are asking our opinion, just the BBT crew, and what's our feelings with it, and are we still mining, that kind of thing. So we'll get into that a little bit, and then we'll talk through some of the currencies that you can still mine. I'm actually going to bring up a pretty cool chart that Cryptopia actually has on their exchange, because they present a really good piece of information when it comes to actually what coins are they able to mine via proof of work, and of proof of work, which ones that are GPU friendly. Again, this is a very GPU centric channel. You don't see a ton of episodes or live stream content that has to do with ASIC mining in general. It's nothing directly against ASIC mining, or we just choose not to do big investments into ASIC mining. The graphics cards have always been a hedge and will be a hedge, to where there's other purposes for these things. Even after you want to get out of mining, you still can sell some of it. Some of the Bitcoin mining ASICs and stuff like that don't, after they've really ran out of their life cycle, they're essentially cool ornaments or something you can put in the background to show that you owned one at one time, but they really kind of lose their value. So the proof of work stuff that we'll go through today is really about there's about 39 to 40 coins out there that are tokens that you can mine with GPUs. There's only about 10 to 12 that really have a lot of effort or some kind of development or some kind of team that's really behind them. That seems to be continuous. that we can tell. So that narrows you down to about 10 to 12 coins that are have a purpose and are trying to produce value that you can mine. So we'll kind of cover some of that, and so that'd be kind of the second part. So we're going to start kind of with market stuff. We'll start then into like what can you mine, and then we'll kind of close out with some of the stuff with the multi-miners. We're trying to add some more stuff in there. We're going to try to get another release of that out tonight, which will add chain coin. We're going to add in actually a handful. Chain coin expanse. We're going to add into it. I think a few more options for Divx coin, Feather coin, and there's a few other ones that we're going to add in there. So there's about 3 to 5 new coins that we're going to add into the multi-miner. We're going to try to get that out tonight with a new version for folks. So that'll be after this episode. We have it almost wrapped up. We're also going to link to the GitHub where that's going to be stored. I got a few folks that have been working on it. I got one person that's really kind of being a heavy contributor to it, and we're going to link to his GitHub that already has established for it, so then you guys can, versus trying to go out to Mega or wherever we upload it, you can get it right from the source. And we're having a Linux version of that start to wrap up, so hopefully you guys will have that in the next few days. So for the folks that build a raw version of Ubuntu, or you want to completely build everything from source, we're going to try to make that happen for you guys. So again, like we do with everything, all this stuff is free. We do not, we're not putting a paywall on it. There's no dev fees built into that. The dev fee that comes with any of the multi-miner stuff is all from the actual mining software itself. That is the actual person that, like Claymore, folks that have built into the fees into their tool. So we do not add on to any other fees with that. It's purely just it's kind of a global contribution now. We kind of started the idea with that whole multi-miner, with our version of the multi-miner, and then others have contributed to it and made it better. So it's all, again, open source under the MIT license. So we're trying to make sure you guys have options there, even when you have like kind of turbulent times right now, when it is with Ethereum and just pricing in general. I mean, this is the way crypto goes sometimes. But let's go ahead and get into this. We have 300 people. I can tell the evening, the afternoon sessions seem to be a little better. So I don't have anybody watching the chat, guys. So if you're asking questions, you get frustrated, please don't. I'll if you guys put super chats or anything like that, I will get to all of those today in there. So if you want to ask questions, then I'll have a section at the very end that we'll just take some questions. So if you got some time, I'm going to try to keep it to around an hour and a half at most, and then we'll answer some questions. But let's get into kind of the I guess the elephant in the room that has to do with like not just the ETH pricing and crypto pricing in general, but the one part that I wanted to talk to specifically when it comes to the difficulty of Ethereum, which has really caused the agnostic to the price, the amount of units that you can actually accrue as you point your miner software, your miner to the Ethereum network, and what your contribution reward is for mining that network, and just that slope that continues to go with, and not really a slope, but the ascent of the difficulty as Ice Age continues as part of, since May, Ice Age, the Ethereum network is not predicated on the total hash power of the network like it used to be up through May. So for anybody who's just kind of coming in and you guys are talking, like, oh my God, there's so many people that are mining it and it's making the hash rate go up. No, it's not predicated on that anymore. In May, Ethereum switched over to the difficult bomb, essentially went off, and now starts to retarget the network at an exponential rate to try to wean people off the network into getting into proof of stake. However, they're not looking like they're going to do proof of stake in this calendar year. So what I'm referring to is, and we'll have it in the description below, the Ethereum Development Foundation that meet about every couple weeks, kind of go through what they call the EIP, which is an Ethereum improvement plan. So those are kind of like, if you're in the development world, that's essentially their backlog. And they'll say an EIP number that they're working on, where there's people that have made contributions to it or people that are trying to finish an EIP number. Well, the EIP number we're referring to, I believe, is 649. Somebody can correct me in the chat, but that EIP number has to do with the difficult time bomb, and that's been going off since May, and now has risen the actual Ethereum network's difficulty to the point of really exceeding the profitability standpoint. If you're just a standard miner with a couple hundred mega hash, you're now taking several weeks to try to get a single coin, which is where the issue lies right now, where a lot of people are concerned with even with the price being what it is. It's a simple math problem to figure out, like, how long is it going to take me to just achieve one unit, and with it changing, it's kind of like you're chasing it down. You buy a miner, you put it on the network, you got a couple hundred mega hash, you look at a calculator and it says, hey, it's going to take you X amount of time, let's say 2 weeks, to get a full coin. You check that after 7 days, and now it's saying, oh, by the way, you still got 2 weeks. That's the issue with the difficult. As it changes and goes up 40% or so each time it retargets, it's really kind of you chasing down to try to get that one single first coin. If you're like on something like Etherpool, or Ethermine rather, .org as your pool you're doing it in. Usually single units, you can set your denomination back to where you're getting one every like 10th of an Ether, but you pay a fee for that, an additional fee. And then the folks that went straight to Ethermine, or ETHpool rather, .org, were actually what they call solo mining, which is essentially you're earning enough credits to get a full block for yourself. So that's like 5 Ether, and if you're lucky, that block that you actually get awarded has an uncle, then it's a little more than that, about 8 Ether. But like on a single rig right now, it used to be about 27 days, 28 days, and I think a single rig now is probably like 50 days or so. We can actually go out and take a look, and look what ETHpool.org, oops, failed. Kind of what a single, I like just looking out here to see what's in the realm of possible here from people that are about to get the next block. Credits, and I'll switch to this as a full screen, and showing kind of what I mean. Here, what we'll do is we'll switch the screen here real quick to where you guys can see this. So now, right now, we're talking just ETH and just difficulty. So we'll pop up in a couple Ether. Charts and statistics, and what we're going to look at is the difficult. So the difficult chart right now is kind of leveled off right now, but I believe it retargets here in the next few days and should jump up exponentially. This growth right here is really kind of the concern of where it's really just kind of taken the profitability out of the game. for a lot of folks that are mining Ethereum right now. So if you only had, and we'll open up a calculator too. We'll leave that as that. We'll put this at 840. We'll put this at 170 mega hash. And we'll see what, I don't see the difficulty on this chart here. I want one where I can manipulate the difficulty, because I don't know what difficulty this is targeting. Let's go back here. I do have the team working on a calculator for us, because I want to be able to target it with the difficulty. Yeah, see, most of these calculators are still targeting right here, which is what mattered, which was network hash rate. That is no longer the issue. So what we'll have to do is, let's see if they have the difficulty here. I think they use the difficulty on what to mine. They do. So if you have 175 mega hash, which is a pretty common rig, using 940 watts, and let's say your kilowatt an hour is that, and let's say you're paying 1.5% fees there, and let's just say you paid $3,500 for your machine. Right now, yeah, it's taking you a couple months to earn one Ethereum. This is the issue with the difficulty. So you can see this chart down here. As a matter of fact, this might be a little too low. Let me increase the display so you guys can see this. So this is the real crust of the issue of, if like you had a single 175 mega hash rig, what your actual issue is. And this literally, I don't want to say overnight, but happened relatively quickly. So a lot of people ordered stuff here at the end of June, mid-June, and it's more than almost doubled the difficulty. So if you were forecasting, you know, what you were going to make, it halved about that in that much time, just because of the difficulty increase there. But again, this is Ice Age going up. This was a trigger based on a set of events that were supposed to occur, which would meant that trying to wean people off of Ethereum to get ready for proof of stake. But now, since they've put a pin in it, proverbially, to move proof of stake now past, at least into the second main hard fork that they're going to do with Ethereum. This has now had some discussion on how to defuse the bomb. So the 20th, or the dev meeting on Friday, what they had discussed, and I had saved it. We had made a Steemit post about it too, just to kind of point people straight to it. And actually have it on our front page of our website, at bitchbetrippin.com. We take you straight to the 42 minutes into that dev meeting. They discuss the difficult issue. And that difficult issue, it was really like looking at it more from a block time issue of, like, right now it's about 17.5 seconds. By November 9th, they'll be at 45-second block time. So they were looking at it from a technical, view, not so much a potential network price or miner, revenue standpoint. That doesn't even come up in those technical meetings, right? The laws of supply and demand and market dynamics, I think they're trying to leave it up to that. However, Where the issue in lies is if the difficulty continues to go up at the exponential rate that it is, like the next retarget at 40%, let's say, and then this number gets into, from 1200 to 1750, from 1750 to 2400, from 2400 up to 3000. Now you're talking rates where a traditional, full rig is going to be maybe making at most maybe 4 Ethereum a year, right? So that's obviously there. That's just the inverse math problem of figuring out, well, what does the price have to be to make sense for that, And if you're talking the price is $2,700 in Ether, well, maybe that 4.0 whatever makes sense, right? But there has to be a reason for the Ether to go up to that kind of rate, or even from a speculative market, it that seems super excessive, right? So crazier stuff's happened. I mean, we're still looking at $150 ETH when ETH in December was $6, $8, but it's not apples to apples when you're talking the difficulty being here. So while ETH could be $6 in December, the difficulty, was down here, and you see this little drop right here. This actual drop right here was when the 2 gig cards fell off, when the DAG file increased past the epoch level to cause the memory buffer to go over 2 gig, and you had a lot of 2 gig cards drop off. When you're talking December at a difficulty of 80, when you're looking at that, you can come here and look at, I can't change the difficulty here. Let's see, the difficulty here, let's do 80.5, calculate. Well, it's more than that. I think it's actually, there's some zeros I'm missing here. Let's see here, because that's terahash, so it's not just that. Let's see here, it's 80,800,000. It's not taking my my difficult. There it is. It's 1, 2. Yeah, that's right. That's 85 trillion difficulty. Now the price right here, if we're going back in time, Ethereum was 2.5 and Bitcoin was, let's say, 8.17. Calculate. It was 6.17, and it was like 1.49. Yeah, full rig. The full rig was still pulling in pretty decent money. It wasn't pulling in 2,500. I think it was actually pulling in like 900. But what it comes down to, guys, is getting these numbers around the same rates that in December. Bottom line, even when it was at $6, you were getting a lot more units, right? And that's the real big delta. So it's one of those things that, like, okay, it's $6 and I'm only making a couple $100 after power, $300-400 in December. You were getting a lot more units, so you were banking on the fact that those units would be worth more at some point in time. A lot of folks held, and a lot of people got a lot of lift when it went up to several $100s. The issue right now is with the difficulty so high, you will never get a lot of units in any capacity. And even while the denominator or the the actual denomination, even if Ethereum goes to crazy pricing, as a miner, you start to really question, like, well, do I stay with Ethereum or do I move on to something else? So bottom line, even with the price the way it is, ultimately they need to defuse the bomb. They don't need to wait till November. It probably needs to happen pretty soon here, or the next retarget is really going to pull pretty much all of the mining profit. In short, unless you have a large facility or farm, you're going to be operating at a loss. And while some folks that were using older inefficient cards back in December were still mining and operating essentially at a power loss, because they already had the sunk cost in the hardware, they just kept pressing because they were just earning more and more Ethereum. With that chance that it was going to go up, they were still earning more units. So it was okay to kind of operate at a loss because your units were increasing. To only get 1 or 2 units in a month, 3 tokens, in a month, and have a pretty exorbitant cost, it really just comes down to a math problem of figuring, how long do you want to burn like that, and only have like 3 or 4 units to show for. Versus having 30 or 40 where it goes up exponentially, it's worth a lot more. So that's where it really comes down to. I think that they're gonna the dev, in the next dev meeting, we're gonna try to make a presence there and just kind of talk that argument from just a unit cost issue. It's not all about. A lot of people are gonna take this and be like, "Oh, this is super greedy and all this other stuff, and you miners, you guys suck," and all this kind of stuff. And it comes down to like a lot of people are making a lot of capital investment to try to uphold that network, with the concept that Ethereum will go to proof of stake at some point if they're continuing on the development path, and that's fine. But there's other coins out there that are going to do proof of work, that are continuing to do proof of work, as some start to model and try to get into that concept of what we were saying as like a proof of effort, where you have that global supercomputer. I think that's where this kind of, maybe it ends up becoming particular mining cards that are viable and have a resell to them that makes sense, of doing that proof of effort, to where you, instead of not just upholding the actual algorithm, or the actual platform, that the cards have an actual purpose more than just kind of chase a number to validate the block sequence, to say, yes, I got the lucky number, we win that block, the next guy does it and wins that block. Essentially, that's all the cards are doing right now. And from folks that talk, this is a big waste of energy, it's a big waste. But part of that consumption mechanism, the whole concept of proof of work in general is, yes, it does cost money, yes, it does burn resources, but it also, that's kind of a negative effect of causing it painful enough to uphold a network from a security side. There might be better ways, and that's where they try to get into like proof of stake and stuff. But I've been a big proponent of taking this hardware and allowing it to do something good, like a global supercomputer. There's a lot of microprocessors on here that are a lot of potential compute power that could be used from a solution finding situation, kind of like folding at home or something like that. That the token for that is just a consumption mechanism that somebody wants to get something processed pays you in that token, and then you're essentially processing those items for that network. So that's more kind of the long-term viability of GPU mining in general, and that may go to something that's more specific, like the GPU mining cards. But there'll be a value proposition on resell, because that's why people always ask, like, why do you continue to use GPU mining? Why is it still a thing? And quite frankly, people like the idea to be able to get in and out of it, and still have value, still have cost, still have some kind of, you buy a graphics card, there's other purposes for it. That hedge is critical, especially when you got a lot of people investing in it, to continue to have. So I think I kind of beat up Ethereum pretty good right now. I think that it's a matter of the folks really focusing, some of the go out there, go on the Reddit post, talk, send some feedback to the developers. We're going to send some feedback, and and see if the difficulty can get adjusted. I understand that when they do the difficult adjustment that they're planning for Metropolis, they're also looking to reduce the rewards. And I made a post out there. We'll make another post on this live stream on the description and on the follow-up Steemit post that we'll make for this. I've just shown some basic math on that. Like if they're going to decrease it to three coins per unit or per block, there's an equilibrium that has to occur to make that still financially viable for people to continue to mine. So you would hope that market dynamics would drive that based on the consumption mechanism that Ethereum is. But right now, with additional reduction in price right now, the difficulty is just killing it for pretty much everybody. So I haven't looked at any of the live stream feed right now, and so I'm not trying to ignore you guys. I'm just trying to get through that piece, and then I will go back through and answer some questions and stuff. But if people are asking you, oh, is mining dead? Mining is absolutely not dead. There's tons of other 6 to 10 other coins out there you can mine, 6 to 10 coins that you can actually get units, and I think that different tokens and a quantitative amount of tokens with even like a single rig. That's why we were talking about the Ubic coin yesterday or the day before, to where we had 2 rigs pointed to that and have earned like 60 or 70 of those coins. Now granted, there's 75 cents a piece. That's fine, but as more interest gets into those types of coins, if their actual facilitation and feature, that I believe will as all crypto lifts, when we get through the Bitcoin fork, and people start to really understand what blockchain tech brings. Those other coins that you've invested in, that you've had an opportunity to get some of the units, some more tokens of those, that's really where right now pointing the hash power will give you the most value, in our opinion. And looking at it, mind you, we're looking back from when we started doing mining, which was in early 2011, and looking through the entire spectrum of every coin. I mean, there's thousands of different coins out there right now. There's about 450 that are actively mined. Why just even having one person that created a coin and they have one rig pointed to that coin, and now you have a little bit of hash power out there. And then you got about 30 to 40 that have some substantial amount of hash power against them. And then of those 30 or 40, you have about 11 that has, a ton of hash power. I mean, I'm talking complete farms of hash power. And then you got your 2 or 3 coins that have just, facilities like Genesis Mining, those kind of big facilities that have, a metric, butt ton of hash power against them. Those, as Bitcoin starts to lift and everything else starts to recover from, some of the issues that they're having right now in the cryptoverse in general, those little coins that you're able to put your one rig on will take a lift with them. It's just the natural dynamics of the way all this stuff's worked. If you look at all the charts after March, everything lifted with Bitcoin and gave everything some kind of denominational value to it. That was a pretty saw a large. I don't know what currency that is, but thank you very much for the large super chat. We do appreciate that. I guess the message I'm trying to say to everybody is, if you have an investment, you've bought a rig, part of those coins that we're going to be putting in the multi-miner, again for free out there, just to give people some exposure, do some research, get their wallets downloaded from their official websites, and hedge, a couple days on another coin, and get some of those token values back for yourself. Ubic coin, Dibix, we're adding a chain coin and Expanse into the system. That way you can try to mine some of that. But take point your hardware, get a small position in each of those, and that way you have some kind of diversification in it. Because it really comes down to, a lot of these things are just a lot of some are pump and dump coins. I mean, we all know that, right? And then some have actual development and purpose. Those ones that have actual development and purpose that are proof of work, those are the ones that you can really look. And some of them are hybrid. Some are both proof of stake, proof of work, that you can get your hash power pointed to. And then you'll have a position in that. The last part that I'll say, and then we'll move on to kind of looking at some of the options, and we'll pull up a multi-miner on here and kind of choose through, and I'll talk to some of the coins. Why is, so I'm kind of out of the ETH and the difficulty piece. Now we're into kind of like crypto in general, what's with the big suppression. And, we do a lot of research too, just to try to find out, is there a lot of market movement in the coins and the currencies? Meaning, look at the exchange wallet, look at the inbound of what, large transactions that are coming into the hot wallets on the exchanges from Poloniex, from Bitrex, the ones that are public, the ones that you can see some address sending large amounts into the exchange, which, I mean, it's an exchange, so either they're trading for other coins, or just holding, they have comfortability with holding a large amount in an exchange. But looking at like Bancor and a couple of the other ICOs, I mean, over the last couple of weeks, a lot of the currency that was exchanged for their coin, i.e. an ICO, where initial coin offering, basic concept for the folks that don't understand or just stumbled into the channel. Initial coin offering is kind of somebody makes and develops either a product or a service that they plan using, and for a stake in their output of their coin, be it like Bancor or one of those, they'll offer you an exchange of, you give them 1 Ethereum, which at the time for Bancor and all those things were around $300. They would give you 100 to 500 of their coin. So that was an exchange. So they take all that Ethereum and they cash some of that Ethereum out to fiat currency, because that's how they have to pay their bills, right? They raise a lot of capital that way. A lot of these recent ICOs have raised 20, 30, 50, $100 million very quickly. And they have expenses, right? They've probably borrowed money up front, maybe through an angel fund investment, some kind of other capital that somebody's put into it. And then they have to pay some of those creditors back. So they have to do a hard sell at whatever price is out there across multiple exchanges. So to prevent a heavy amount of arbitrage, it'll be an even distribution, usually somebody maintaining and controlling that even distribution, and then they'll start selling the currency. Now, responsible and traditionally, you would do that at a very low clip, not to cause massive market deflation, or trigger bots or anything else that's watching the sell pattern, and that will auto trigger and start to go crazy. I.e. GDAX a few weeks back, when a large market sell, essentially you could go into a market sell. Let's say you moved 10,000 Ethereum into it. If you had 10,000 Ethereum and it was given to you, you don't have a huge amount of staked interest in that, so that's why you would just sell 10,000 Ethereum at whatever price. And then if you put the market sell order at whatever price, you essentially go in there and you could sell it at 0.0001 of a Bitcoin. I don't care, just sell. I want it all gone. It will sit there and smoke every sell or every buy order all the way down, and causing the price to drop significantly pretty quickly. Most responsible parties would do it across multiple exchanges, and they would do it in little bits and cause a natural sell kind of go into play, and then you wouldn't really necessarily see that. It would just be covered up in all of the normal exchange activity. But what's happened is as the price has started to decrease for multiple reasons, not just the ICOs selling, but just in general confidence in crypto. A lot of feedback that or not really senior, but key people in the industry, big market movers, folks that are not in necessarily crypto, that have now started getting in there from an investment standpoint, has had a lot of sell triggers to say, hey, it's parabolic, which means it's just had this massive growth to crazy levels. Start selling everything that in investment science, as I would call it, said sell, sell, sell when it was hitting 370s, $400. Everybody was hitting that general conventional wisdom sell mindset of, you know, this thing is gone parabolic, sell it, take some profit, be safe. And then as it started to fall, you had expansive, you know, sell orders come in after that. So you add that with now the activity of ICOs seeing the price drop, and they're like, well, crap, we need to get what we can while we can right now because they're going to have bills coming up. And you have this massive compiling of sell orders that just go exponential. And then it starts to come down to another equilibrium floor that people say, okay, now that's pretty cheap for ETH. And that's what everybody's looking for. It's like, how far is it going to go down? And when is it to the point of like, I don't really care what's going on. That's too cheap. And I'm in then. You get this natural flow of folks that will just say, you know, hey, I get that it could go back down, but that's the cheapest I've seen it in a while, and I believe in it, and then they start buying back in. I think we're seeing that right now, kind of with the floor hit about 130, and it bounced. It went back up to like 140, 150. There was a huge sell-off on Poloniex. I don't know if folks have seen that. Let's see here. There it is. And then we'll bring this down here. A little too short. You had some pretty large sell activity, a little bounce here, another back up here, and then this position right here, there was quite a bit of other sell activity. It kind of spread it out based on the 30-minute chart. What are the 5-minute chart? And you could see some of these larger activities. Where you've had some rebuy in. So there was a lot of support there after that 138, and it built it back up. And it looks like now it's kind of leveling off. You can see the activity below where the volume's really kind of settled. And it looks like it's going to hold there for a little bit. But you know what is the real low? The fiat side, I think what I was looking at from the large sell volume activity. Yeah, you had some pretty large sell on the fiat side, and you know, over the next week or so. I mean, I try not to get into a lot of forecasting. I'm just trying to explain some of the activity to you guys. Of what we see and what we've researched from what's going on, and from a miner side of it, like how, you know, from us in this kind of activity, this is not a sell activity for us. This is a very hold activity, because it's not advantageous as a miner to sell at this level, right? It does not make any sense to sell Ethereum at this kind of level. So I mean, it's a very hold activity. Obviously some folks have to pay bills, some folks we have to pay bills too. We just made sure that in this kind of activity that we can hold most of the crypto that we have, and just kind of take it as an investment opportunity right now of just paying the power and the depreciation expenses on the equipment. And then look for when those next turnaround times, which right now we're anticipating is going to be just after the 1st of August. It may take a week after the 1st of August, just especially if there's a pitchfork activity where, you know, for the folks that haven't been following Bitcoin and don't know what's going on, there's a lot more smarter people than I on this activity. Here, I'll switch it back to where I'm not talking to you guys are just looking at a depressing chart here. the kind of potential pitchfork that could happen with the forks with Bitcoin. But bottom line, in the next couple of weeks, some major activity is going to happen with Bitcoin. There's going to be a user-activated soft fork. That's the UASF languages you keep seeing, or an acronym that you keep seeing if you're following on Twitter and stuff. And once that gets through, however it falls, if it hard forks and splits into two, if it does a soft fork and there's a lot of bluffing and folks point hash power the miners for Bitcoin, now we're talking about Bitcoin here, on August 1st, and it gets through that, the exchanges are all going to halt all their activity. If you have not been paying attention, all the exchanges have came out and said they're going to halt their activity on August 1st, on or just before. I can see it happening probably the 31st sometime of July. They're going to stop transactions. They're going to check and find out. And it all comes down to just some of the technical back-end activity that could happen and go wrong if you have a transaction in mid-flight during that. So just as if when a website is doing an upgrade, when your phone, any kind of major upgrade, most of the time there's an outage. This is as a precautionary thing. They do not want to have the nightmare of transactions that get stuck or get confirmed on the wrong chain, and then you don't have you indirectly lose access to your funds for a time being. They're going to try their best to not have that activity happen. So by pausing it is an all right thing. So it's not that their company's going down or some kind of crap's happening like that. It's just a preventive maintenance activity. We get through that. Let's say August 2nd, 3rd, 4th time frame. What we're seeing playing out from ours, again, this is all from our best observation, is you'll have some initial articles coming back about saying how it's proceeded, how the UASF worked, and then you'll start to see some activity that, as long as you have a majority of hash power staying on one chain, it will continue on, and things will start to recover and say, okay, we're through the storm. You're going to see a lot more investor confidence come back in. The one thing you don't see, like on exchanges and on folks' accounts, is if they've pulled money out of crypto and they have it setting on the exchange and on another coin or whatever, and they don't have it posted as a buy or sell, you do not see that activity. You don't see that order book that hasn't filled and on a buy sell. So you don't know actually how much, none of us do, of how many folks are sitting in the background waiting for some of this stability to happen, get through the USF, and then you have this massive buy activity because they're going to try to get it because they think that it's on the floor. The floor is where it's at right now after August 1st because of the impending potential pitchfork activity where you could have three different chains like Bitcoin original or classic, Bitcoin new, let's call it SegWit, and Bitcoin, another version of Bitcoin. So you have three complete chains, which is really going to confuse the hell out of everybody. That's kind of the worst case scenario. But if you end up getting with two, we've seen it with Ethereum. I think you can have a world with two. It's just where's most of the innovation, where's BitPay, where's all these companies that are signed into Bitcoin that are from a transactional standpoint. There's some of that kind of stuff that's got to get figured out of which side they're going to be on. It looks like all of them are going to be on one side, and then you're going to have maybe your purist or miners or whatever on another side, and you're going to split the hash power. Now, value doesn't necessarily split with hash. We know that from Ethereum Classic. But if it takes like a presence of like a 90-10 split like Ethereum Classic and Ethereum have, where if Ethereum's $160 a coin and Ethereum Classic $16 a coin, you have a 90-10 split. Is the hash power a 90-10 split? Not necessarily, because I think there's actually more hash power on Ethereum Classic right now because of the situation with Ethereum's price. But we'll see after the first. That's what it comes down to. Bottom line is it's a very, I don't like to give financial advice on that. I like to give information. Circumstantially, it could be used for, advice. But I can just tell you that what we're doing personally, and what we're doing personally is holding. I'm not selling any. None of the team is selling. I've asked that. I've had a few guys that have to pay some bills with their stuff. But we're going to hold through it, and believe in the larger technology at play. Because at the end of the day, some of the political decisions that are going on right now have nothing to do at all with the fact of what blockchain does for technology and society and all that. None of that's changed with all this back and forth, guys. There's still a lot of activity being at play when it comes to the technology, the platform, the betterment of different supply chains, and the usage of these technologies. Both from the private, the syndicated, and the public chains. All three of those are getting activity, and continue to get activity, agnostic to price and what people demand and all that kind of stuff. So that, if you take that and you put it off to the side and understand that, irregardless of all this other stuff, that stuff's still going on. So that's why we hold. I'm looking more towards that, of saying, we're going to get through this. This is going to be a chapter in a book. And we're on like chapter 3, right? And this is a long chapter, a long book, so that's kind of an analogy that I kind of came up with when I talk to people about it. And ironically, we've also, I go back to a lot of people and say, hey, if you're not in and you weren't in July, it was a good call. You didn't get in, or June. But right now it's in a state that where the low seems like it's going to be in the next 2 weeks. You could get some today. You could buy $100 worth, $50 worth, whatever, and get some stake into a coins. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Take $100 and split it $10 across all of them. I mean, you're not going to get a ton, but it is a good buying opportunity. You buy the reds, you sell the greens, right? So right now it's been red for a few weeks. It's going to probably be continued to be red for the next couple weeks. Or it might just set at the floor of where that equilibrium, where people really feel comfortable and they look at that price for ETH and say, that seems, I don't know why that seems like a good price, but that's where I'm comfortable at. And if you get enough people that say I'm comfortable at that price, then that starts to establish the floor, irregardless of any other technical news or any of that other kind of stuff. Could we see an ETH get down to $100? I can't imagine it going that low, but I mean, each level has support. Right now, it looks like 138 has a lot of support. It bounced back up to the 140s, 150s. If we go overnight and you have a whole other part of the planet that doesn't agree with that and does a heavy sell and drives that price back down to like 90 or something like that, I cannot fathom it getting below that $100. I think a lot of people are going to buy in, buy more and just give a lot more support to get back up. I mean, now you're 4 times, or you're 3 times lower than what the old high was. When something's lost 75% of its value like that, and a lot of the underlying technology hasn't changed, and likewise the supply side of it is reduced. The amount of people that could get supply has been reduced because of the difficulty being high, and the block times, which means that the distribution of it is now slowing. So every 17 seconds, block time is going to go to 45 seconds. So now you have an actual mathematical reduction in how much ETH is being injected into the system. Naturally, price should follow, the reduction of supply. Now, we're talking seconds here. We're not talking like it's happened in minutes and they've halved it or something with related to the amount of input. But, that line versus supply starts to kind of go like that versus like it got halved, so you'd have kind of a situation like that. When they do that, then, you have another reduction in supply. So, bottom line, in the near long term, you probably have a situation where if they go to 3 coins per block and they fix that as part of the next hard fork, you have kind of like a Bitcoin situation where you have Ethereum being halved, almost halved, and its supply increase. So its inflationary standpoint is now halved. Every time that Bitcoin has done that, it's went up significantly. So if I'm looking at a $153 Ethereum, that's where I'm thinking. I'm thinking, okay, well, at a minimum set, let's say it holds 150. Let's say it gets through August and it holds 150. We get all the way to November and 50% of the network stops mining it. They have to diffuse it earlier because their target that they set on that dev meeting is 45 seconds. block time. So if that 45 seconds is the actual block time that they're targeting, because of the community has came back and said if I have block times over 45 seconds, I start running into issues. If less and less folks continue to mine it, and the difficulty is so high, the blocks the actual lottery way that proof of work works. We don't actually have enough hash power to crack it within 45 seconds. It could speed up that event of defusing the time bomb on it, or the difficulty bomb. So I think that they're going to have to defuse it before November 9th, but we'll see. But anyways, I kind of went off way off the charts on discussing the market and that kind of stuff. And I'm going to look at the chat for a second and say, I mean, is this stuff valuable to you guys? I mean, usually we're doing mining stuff. It seems to be we've gotten some good feedback. Again, I'm not a total industry expert on it. We're involved quite a bit on this subject and research it a lot. Let me know if this kind of stuff is if you want, maybe this every once a week or once every couple weeks or some kind of analysis or anything like that. And maybe I can have something that's more like that, have the hardware. We have a lot of new hardware coming in anyways. We're not really giving up on any kind of mining or anything. We got a lot more hardware coming in. But if it's valuable, we'll continue, providing some background on what we see, at least from our perspective. Now, if we get into kind of the mining side of what I was going to talk about today, which was really where to point hash power. So let's reset a little bit of the discussion right now and let's set the scenario up. You just got into this. Maybe you've been into it for a while. You're seeing the difficulty. You're seeing the on Ethereum. You're looking at the calculators. You're looking at your pool, and you're like, WTF? This, I feel like I'm wasting time. I'm only going to get one coin in a week. That sucks, And even if it goes to $300, big whoop. I just only have one of them, right? So where can I get some kind of quantitative amount of tokens that I can now invest in, because that was my original purpose of doing the mining, is to have something that's more long term. And even if Ethereum goes to $2,000 a coin, that's great. I would have made $2,000 on the one that it took me 3 weeks to earn. I'd rather have 20, 40, 50 coins of something that if it appreciates or that its network becomes super valuable because there's a purpose for them, then that's a better play. So what I want to talk is looking through what are some of those coins and opportunities. And what we've seen right now is I keep saying Ubicoin. I've had about 300 megahash ish pointed to the UBIQ for folks. I'm gonna type it. Let's see here. UBIQ. Dibix has a lot of hash power on it right now. It kind of went down. I mean, you're not gonna get tons of units of Dibix. But Ubicoin right now is, we had Hold Pool, which is I don't know if Blueberry's on here. We can paste the link to that. We've been mining that with at least just a couple rigs. Again, I have about 300 hash power on it, and my kind of 4-day, I think we're our fifth day of mining it. We're almost at 100 units. So that's 100 tokens at we had 300 mega hash pointed to it. We're on our 5th day. By this evening, it'll be a full 5 days, and we're right at about 100 units. So that's worth about 75 cents. So it's not it hasn't been super profitable or any concept, but I think at its peak it was close to $4, $3. Somebody can fact check me on that. But it's one of those things that you'll have a lot of units of it. Siacoin's the same way. XMR, only if you have like a lot of CPU power, and I mean you can do it with the mining rigs, but there's a lot of power on that. I mean, people are running like server threads against it, you know, like Xeon 230, 24 core setups on it that are getting 1800, 2000 hash on XMR, and running like farms of them. But pointing at coins like that, we're adding Expanse, we're adding Chain Coin. You'll have that tonight. But being able to point your hash power to one of those and seeing it. And what I'll do is I'll bring up like Ubik. Yeah, Ubik did. Its difficulty spiked about 50%. It retargets based on hash power, and a lot of hash power got pointed to it. Let me switch back. And I kind of show, of having, like, if you have one rig or you even have just a couple, going to Ethereum. Ethereum taking a little dive. It was 151 when we looked at that earlier. Oh, I forgot that's actually a company too. You just can't type that. So their main website here, you can get. So I've been kind of neutral on browser-based wallets, just because some of the folks that get their computers compromised and having a plug-in. But for this right now, I'm just going to show kind of like a Chrome plug-in for this. You can add in the Chrome plug-in, add the extension. I'm just using this as a demo, so don't get freaked out when you guys see like my detail address on this. So when you do that from that, so if you look back where I was just at, the Ubik, it's got the browser plugin, Chrome, that plugs it in up here. And then right here, you have where you can add a new wallet. Add a wallet. You can generate one. Just say test wallet. I'll enter just a generate wallet. It's just typed successfully added a new wallet. So now it's in here, and here's a test wallet. So that quick, you put a strong password in, it generates it. It's now part of that, and there is the wallet that's there. You could actually use that, copy that, and then start mining by grabbing, let's go into multi-miner here. This is version 5.2, edit with Notepad++, and we're going to come up here at the top, and we're going to just change this one for the Ubik address. So you just change it one place in the multi-miner. Paste. That's that new address. We're going to save that. And that is for, let's do hodl pull, which is on this one's 33. And this is a little I was testing out the 750 Ti cards that I had. Oh no, this one has, sorry, I'm on this one. I thought I was on the other rig over there. So this has the gold sample RX 580 in it. And now we're mining with that address to hodl pull. So already it's found a share, it's running. And if I go out there and look, so I got my wallet address here. It's part of the upper right hand corner here. I can go out there and look for this. The last three digits, CDD, Charlie David David. So this guy on hodl pull, where I could go and look at me get the miner actual URL. I think it's in here. It's this guy right here. And then miners right there. You're seeing it right here. So it just showed up down here at the bottom. It just started. It's only showing 6 mega hash, but it's you know, like all pools, it'll catch back up. If I look at this and look at stats, I'm at almost 30 with this card, so 30 mega hash. So this thing will start to earn. Here it's 2 minutes ago, and we'll let this go for a second, and you'll see kind of what this you know, what this thing's performance will do over time. As an example, so you saw how quick that was. I went out there, went to HODL Pool, grabbed the wallet, put it in the browser one. You can get a full client wallet too. You can also go to an exchange, and you can point right away as you just update in the multi-miner that address of whatever that wallet is, and then choose option 33 in there, which is already set up for HODL Pool. And then there's how you got to HODL Pool when you come into the actual. You use like a Notepad++, come in here. And then when you're looking at all these green kind of sections, these are all the different mining pools that are part of the current multi-miner. In the latest version of the multi-miner that we're putting together, we're going to add Expanse, Chaincoin, all these other ones, and we'll add some more pools in there. I asked for folks to put other pools that they want to see in there. You know, put it in the description. Say, hey man, I've been mining with this one pool. I'd like to use your thing. Let's add this other pool, and we'll get that added in there. So you know, it gives, if you're just one dude or one dudette, and you're like, you know what, I play games for 7 hours a night. I come home from a hard day of work. I play video games. I play, you know, player unknown battlegrounds. You guys are killing my graphics card pricing and stuff. When I say to you is, I say something like this, like HODL Pool or one of these other coins that we're gonna have in there that have a low hash rate compared to like something like Ethereum and stuff. You can go out there, set up the wallet, set up the miner, and then at night when you're sleeping, just point it to it, let it run. You know, you don't have to go full tilt on the graphics card. You know, you don't have to run it as hard. You know, you can step it down a little bit, step the GPU clock down, that. And just hedge a little, get some currency in some cryptocurrency in your portfolio. You know, over a few month period, you'll have, you know, 10, maybe 15 HODL Ubit coins, or any of the others. Expanse, you'll have Chaincoin, any of those kind of other coins that you'll end up getting and using your hardware for. And then it takes that lift. That's what a lot of folks did with, you know, Ethereum between March of 16. Through December of 16. You know, some people got into it, mined it for a little bit, got, you know, 30, 40 Ethereum because it was worth, you know, maybe $6, and they're like, well, screw this, I'm out. And in the summer of 16, they sold their mining equipment, probably at a little bit of a loss, but still had their 40 coins. And I cannot tell you how many people reached back out to us and was like, you know, dude, I can't believe it. You know, I thought I lost my ass on this. You know, I mined, you know, I got like 30 coins. It was only worth like $6 or something. And, you know, I had to recover that wallet. Thank God I didn't delete my hard drive, you know. And now I have 40 coins that are worth, you know, or 40 tokens, Ethereum tokens that are worth a couple $100, right? So, you know, we helped a lot of people. As new folks were coming into it, we were also helping people recover some of their stuff that they had done previously in the year. You know, and in 2015, you know, they had mined when it was, you know, 10 and 20 cents. That's the kind of thing like Ubicoin and Chaincoin and some of these other coins that aren't necessarily as groundbreaking. Don't let me try to mislead you here that one of these coins are like an Ethereum. A lot of these things are based off of Ethereum. Ethereum is really a foundational paradigm shift when it comes to cryptocurrency. It's like cryptocurrency 2.0, where Bitcoin took the basic idea of blockchain and took the basic ideas of wealth transfer out of the hands of large institutions and went point to point with it. Why that's a massive paradigm shift. Ethereum very quickly and alongside horizontally with it, added a platform for folks to be able to do, you know, development on that kind of a platform. So they're not part and parcel of each other. They do bring different value propositions by and large to each other. So they augment each other in that space. But one of these other currencies like Ubik or like, you know, I haven't done a lot of research on Chaincoin, but you know, Dubai Coin, all these, they come with a purpose of what their intentions are. They have a development team. They have a goal in mind. They have at least semi-working product of some sort. And then, you know, like you can tangibly do something with what they've created. You know, that's why I've always been a big proponent of Storage Coin, because I can download the storage client. I can install it on my computer, I can assign a hard drive space to it, and then I can see contracts being fulfilled, right? That is, out of all the other currencies out there, like something like storage is a huge, I mean, just to hold from a currency standpoint is, and to earn it through storage, through the payment mechanism, I think is a huge thing. I think over time when, you know, I'm very, very bullish on something like storage, because it's tangible. We can install it and we can use it and we can see it being used. There's a real use case for it. Now, I think it's not perfect. I think there's a lot of work that still needs to go into it, but that kind of stuff I put a lot of weight into from just a technologist, that it's something that could be worth something. Same, you know, there's a lot of opportunity in those kind of cryptos that give you a kind of working model and say, hey, we're not right, we're not perfect, but we do have a solution to, we think, a couple of these problems, and here's the solution. And for that compensation, for that you investing into our currency, that gives us the capital that we need to extend and create what we're saying that we're creating, but at least have a tangible proof. You know, with any kind of VC funding or any kind of usually traditional capital funding inside of something like that, you need some sort of working product and you need some adoption. Right, those are the two main factors if you're going to go try to get capital from a VC. Is like, okay, that's a cool idea, bro. Lots of people can come up with cool ideas. Well, let me see it working. Let me see that you have a user base. And you know, the ICO standpoint is a little different. It allows people to kind of get capital before they have that cool idea shook out. But you know, that's what I'm saying is, like, some of these coins that you can do proof of work on, research them. You know, let me bring up one that I wanted to bring up. Something I wanted to bring up for you guys could kind of get a concept of what all these proof of work coins, you know, I kind of showed you, and we're going to let this continue to mine right now on this other, let's look here, Ubitcoin. So yeah, right here, it's reporting 33.33 hash, and we'll let this continue to go, and you'll see that it's going to start to get some coin here in a second, as it's going through its piece there, because it's submitting shares, it's earning shares. So right now, out of this current round, it's only 0.21%, so not even a full percent of the share count right now. It's going to get. It's had 5 shares. We'll see what this looks like in a few minutes. But let's get into. I think it's. What is the name of that? Hold on, real quick. I had it on the other computer, and since I don't have somebody else showing me or helping me with this, I need to look and make sure. Yeah, it's Cryptopia, that's right. I couldn't remember if it was Cryptoverse or Cryptopia, but I do like what they've done with their exchange. So I'm going to kind of give them kind of a basic shout out on their exchange side. So their exchange, Cryptopia, the one thing I like about this display here is the coin info. So under coin info, relevant information as a miner is which ones are proof of work. So quickly, I can identify proof of work algorithms by resorting this list here. And now, not all proof of work you're going to be mining with a GPU mining rig. you're going to you're pretty much. So I have this actually in Excel. I took essentially a snapshot of this. I dumped it into Excel. I did some filters on it, and I narrowed it down to about 23 coins that are coins that you could actually mine with GPU mining rigs. So I got that out there. I'm going to attach it at the bottom of this this video after the ones that you can mine. But when you look at a lot of these SHA-256 and Script, those are all ones that you're going to be using with ASICs. But when you look at some of these other ones like Crypto Night and here, let me sort it by algorithm. You know, Blake and C11, which are, there's two different coins that are like chain coin with the whole 11 different algorithms, chaining them together. Flex Script and chain coin are both that way. But you start to look at some of these different algorithms, like let's see here, Bytecoin. Let's see here, Dagger Hash. So like, you know, ETC Ethereum Expanse is using Ethereum's algorithm. Ubitcoin uses Ethereum's algorithm. You know, Zcash uses equal hash. So I mean, you can see some of the ones that are actually out there, and using, you know, mineable backend, and including the hybrid stuff. So you can see like some that you can still mine, but you're sharing that pot, that payout pot with proof of stake coins. So I do like this site from just a, you know, I know there's like CryptoWare and there's a couple other ones that show that the presentation. I just like this presentation because it's straight and to the point. It allows me to sort it, kind of like Excel. So it's pretty nice. You know, from that piece. So what we're going to be doing is looking at the ones that have some of the most activity on here and adding those to the multi-miner. So then you can start to point and get some currency in there to have in your portfolio. You know, and actually mine it. Use the hardware. I mean, there's people that are going to be buying this stuff and holding it, and then there's folks that are watching this channel and that have built mining equipment and just are lost right now. They're like, dude. I mean, I've said so many emails sent over saying, hey man, I bought this stuff, but Ethereum. I mean, nobody knew it was going to go up to the difficulty was going to jump what it was at, and you know, I kind of screwed. And I don't know what to do. And it's like, well, you know, point it to something that you're going to get a lot of units on. Now, you might not bring a lot of profitability with that right now, but it's more of those things that you're going to have a lot of units of those. So as Bitcoin and all these other currencies recover, you could get a spike there to where you get some of your revenue back. And that's where it comes down to, is what other currencies can you actually mine with your hardware? That's what, I mean, at the end of the day. And what I'm trying to show you is that there's a lot of different currencies out there, and we're going to add those into the multi-miner to help get the configuration down for the folks that really are struggling, trying to get those out there, and, you know, and then provide the right kind of hash power for some of these currencies that to allow them to have, you know, a robust community behind them and supporting their currency and their coin to show, you know, hey, you know, we got 40% of this new hash power. You know, what's this mean? Well, does it just mean because people want to try to pull some revenue out of us, or, you know, saturate the you know, the depletion of the coin, or, you know, really distribute it. If you have a lot more people mining it, that distribution, you're going to have like 20 dudes, you know, just taking all the currency. So, you know, that's what it really comes down to, is giving you guys an opportunity to point that hardware somewhere else, and see what else is out there. So we're just over an hour and 18 minutes. I wanted to kind of wrap this up at an hour and a half. I will now look at the live chat. Let me look and make sure I didn't miss any of the super chats, because I want to acknowledge that. So we got one from Vent. Big thank you for all that you've done. Thanks, Vent Rothod. We appreciate that. I don't know what denomination that currency's in, but it looks like a lot, 500. We do value that. So folks that are asking, so the multi-miner shows that it has a virus. That is a false positive that's coming from the XMR. But it's saying that it has a backdoor. We built that from source. It did not look like it had any kind of viruses or anything like that. It comes from the actual XMR source and on GitHub, and it's showing a false positive. Let me switch this back to the main screen. How do you set up the Dibix wallet? I lost a few altcoins because of the dumb desktop wallet. The Gecko, I will, maybe in our next video we can kind of show that. Yeah, it's kind of sketchy. You would think for the effort that they're trying to put into Dibix that they would have a better wallet solution. I agree with you. Looks like the scrolling went down. Thanks, Jay, for doing that conversion. I had no idea. It looked like a lot, but it fell off the screen pretty quick. Music coin, yes, we do have that on the list. We will get that added. So I believe it is actually on the list. We have 5 coins that we're adding tonight. I think music coin was one of them. Music coin, chain coin, feather coin, which we used to mine a lot back in the day, and looks like it's had a little bump lately. And then Expanse, if I said Expanse already. Chamois only when we had something set up wrong on the is that for XMR? Lance Hall, yes, we have some rigs pointed to Siacoin. We dual mine right now Ethereum and Sia with the AMD cards that we have. Oh, actually, I correct that. We are not mining Sia anymore. We just moved Sia. We went over back to Decred. So we're doing Decred and Ethereum. I haven't seen any of the Chaincoin campaigns. We've just started kind of researching what it was. I look at it from I approach it differently. I don't look necessarily at their marketing. I look at their technology. So it's 11 different algorithms. I look at what their block times are. I try to understand their purpose. Are they reusing something? Do they create something different? And then I look at what are the features that they're trying to bring and see if it's viable or if it's just pump and dump. The NVIDIA cards that we have right now are all mined in Zcash. Please tell us why there's controversy with Jax. I haven't looked into the Jax controversy. I still use Jax for my local wallet for my phone. I haven't had really any issues with it. And for like Bitcoin and stuff, I use Electrum. Bitcoin and yeah, it was mainly Bitcoin. Yeah, I don't know what controversies with Jax. We haven't researched it. I read into a little bit of the EOS stuff. I just haven't went any more than just researching kind of what their intentions are. They're talking a lot of stuff that they're going to groundbreak stuff, but I haven't really done a lot of deep dive on them. Brock reward for Ubik is 8 coins, and it's like every, I don't remember what their block time is. I think it says, what is their block time? Full blocks. This will take me to here, explore, 72 cents. Charts. Difficulty's down right now. Network stats. Average block time right now on Ubik is 84 seconds or 88-second block time at 8, and they put out 8. This is essentially the dashboard that they have, which shows all the nodes for Ubik. I mean, just from a support standpoint of like showing their dashboards and all their other stuff, you know, compared to like I don't think that I haven't seen like any kind of chain coin or any kind of other dashboards that shows, you know, any of this kind of stuff. You know, they get a big advantage by using the same algorithm as Ethereum to use a lot of the same open source already kind of perfected, you know, details on like node counts and you know, actual back end, you know, tech that they're using. But yeah, it looks like 88 seconds. Last block is this one's their average block time is this one. This is based on difficulty and all that is when it goes. Okay, so that one went to 170 seconds, and then it was found, and now it's starting a new block. So that kind of, you know, so that Ubik dacr.us shows you kind of in real time kind of the block details and stuff. ETH wallet, I do have a Mist wallet. Mist needs a lot of help, but I also use Jax on the phone. I've seen the unsubstantiated claim that somebody stole some from, but that Jax controversy, if that's what you're referring to, had to do with the actual wallet that was on the browser, I believe, and on the PC, and not necessarily the phone wallet. Andy, so the question is, when will we stop mining Ether? After the next retarget of difficulty, it's going to be unprofitable for what we have hash-wise. It's going to be, if it jumps up by another 40% in a few days, then it's going to completely go away unprofitable, especially if the price stays suppressed at like 130, 140. We will probably move all of that hash power, our hash power, we'll probably move it all off somewhere else. Really, because we're a proponent for at least having some more, you know, it needs to be reasonable with the difficulty, and, you know, exponential difficulty like it was. There was guys, you gotta understand something. There was a purpose for that difficulty jump on Ethereum. That was to wean people off of Ethereum because they were going to go proof of stake. So they're not going proof of stake right now, so it makes no sense to keep the difficulty bomb in place. And personally, our opinion, so this is the opinion side for BBT Carter, not to be confused with any kind of financial advice or direction or any kind of other things like that. This is from my technical piece, is that if you're not going to implement the feature because of whatever reason, that the bomb right away should have been diffused, and it should be back to Ethereum's predicated on Ethereum's hash rate, because that is the way market dynamics works. As more people start to mine, you should get less. That's the way it works. But right now it's being artificially increased because of a mechanism that was going to be released for a feature that is not being released. So immediately it should be disabled. The second they had that dev meeting, and they had mentioned that they're not going to release in Metropolis the next release, the proof of stake, Immediately from that point on, it should would into, okay, let's talk about EIP 649. Okay, since we've made that call today in that dev meeting, we should defuse the bomb. We should have it repredicated back on network hash power and let market dynamics define the output. So that's where I'm turning off my opinion piece. So from a technical implementation standpoint, that's where it should go in. And we're, I'll advocate for that position, because I think that's where it should be at. That's where it was at in May. That's where it should be at. So, we need to make, as miners, we should make that known. And when I get that there's a point for that difficult bomb. And at some point they're going to go proof of stake, and they should implement it to wean people off of mining it. But until then, they should be re-enabled. Disabled, and let the network hash power dictate that. Because price is going to go where price is going to go, agnostic to difficulty. So there's it's not advantageous for the developers to even keep it that way. It hurts them too. So short of if they wanted to suppress supply, but it's really actually irrelevant, guys, because at the end of the day, the same amount, the block time, even if it gets extended to 45 seconds, there's still 5 ETH being introduced in the space at that time at 45 seconds. So the inflationary piece of it's still in play. It's just that if you're a small contributor, you get a lot less. If you're a large contributor, you're going to get a lot more of the hash. You're going to have a lot more of the shares submitted in that longer block time, and you're going to get a higher portion. So it pays to play if you have a lot of hash power. So, it really shuts out the smaller folks, because you don't get as much as the distribution. So yeah, right now, as it stands right now, it's super. It's almost not profitable to mine right now. It still is, but it after the next increase from Ice Age, if it bumps to 40%, it will. As far as our calculations, it won't be profitable anymore. So, at least for us, it won't be. It just depends. So it looks like we got another super chat. Thank you. We appreciate that. Now I have my rig ready. I appreciate the building rigs kind of sessions. I was wondering if it was possible to dual mine ETH and Burst coin. I haven't tried ETH and Burst, but they're different to where you're going to be using hard drives. You could technically, we have not. So let me codify that. We have not done Burst and ETH at the same time. Technically, just thinking about it, it should be no problem, because it's using hard drives to do the mining. So you technically could triple mine in that context. Technically, you could quad mine, and that might be a good episode. Let me write that down to see if we can actually achieve that, because we do have a 5 terabyte hard drive that I bought to try burst mining with. Burst mining quad mine. So technically, if I have an extra i7, so technically I could do the i7 for XMR. I could dual mine with ETH, and I could do burst with a hard drive. So technically you could quad mine, which was really maximizing a mining setup. So we're going to wrap some questions up, guys. I'm going to wrap this up at 1 hour and 40 minutes. It's at 1 hour and 34 minutes right now. So I'll take some more questions, and we're going to be doing, just to give you a hint this week. So I'm doing I should be doing a 9-card 1080 Ti rig. Let me know if you guys are interested in seeing that. It should be this week. I think if everything's in by this week, we'll do that. Then I think we have another 1070 8-card rig that we're building. So we'll do that in front of you guys too. and maybe we'll do it with some of those other currencies. You could do XMR with not fully tilting on the CPU. I think burst does require some CPU, but not a whole bunch. Yeah, and I would appreciate you guys smash that like button. Manfred, thanks, buddy. Yeah, from what I understand, there are some RXs finally in stock. I did get a message over from some folks that were over shopping at Micro Center, and they sent me a tweet saying, "Hey, there's some AMD RX cards, like 10 or 12 of them in the St. Louis Micro Center right now." What motherboard are we using for the 9-card TI rig? We're going to use the Asus Prime Z270, the same one I've always used, the AR, and we're doing that with the 1080 Ti. So it's going to have the 7 slots on it, and then I'm using both of the M2 slots for cards. Oh, and we do have the ASRock did overnight, and I got the FedEx for it. The 13 GPU motherboard. We should have that on Monday. I'm going to build a special case for that, and we're looking at doing like if the M2 drive works on that, then I can get 14 out of it. But I'm looking at least doing a 13 card 1050 Ti build with that. So that's going to be should be a relatively lower cost build, considering the 1050 Ti's you can get around for $130, $150 a piece, and 10 of them, 15 of them, or 14 of those. I mean, not too bad of price. I mean, you're talking $2,000 probably after tax for a whole set of cards for that. So if the folks are having issues with the M2 slots, I've seen a lot of this. A lot of people struggling right now on those M2 slots. Let me slide over here. Grab one of these. So when you are putting these in, I have noticed this. When you're using one of these M2 slot adapters, these little guys, when you're using this, when you're screwing this down, the card tilts like this, right? Because it's connected into the slot and it's got an angle to it. What I've done with all of ours is I've loosened that screw down where it's threaded probably 1, maybe 2 threads in, and it lifts it up. That position where it's more horizontal seems to work for us almost every single time. The times that I have it all the way screwed down, 2 out of probably 3 times, the card doesn't even show up in the OS. So take some tension out of that and let it set more horizontal, and then see if you still have that same problem. Because it's fixed it for us, and it actually, in that Ryzen box that I showed a few weeks back, or at least a week ago, I have a 960 Pro NVMe drive that's that every once in a while would not boot. Like, it would just not be there. Like, I'd reboot the computer and it would just not show up anymore. And I had to do that same thing. I was like, I had a few mining rigs that lost its card when I do this, and let me loosen that up. I loosened it up, and I haven't had a problem with it since. I think that that's just a flaw in the M2 design, to where if you tighten that down too much, it loses connection on one side. So yeah, back that screw out just a little bit. Don't make it to where it's out, because it wants to pop back up, but make it just a few threads in and tight, and then you should be good to go. Thanks, Craig, for that. Yes, Russell, chain coin's going to be in the new miner. We're gonna post it up tonight. You should see it on there. So the multi miner, I'm going to have the link to it. It should be the version 5.3 when we're done with it, and then I'm going to have a link back to some of the original source where we build it from, which is going to be listed on a GitHub. It's Anon7, is ANON7, which is one of the contributors that have been helping us with it. Back to that hub. His GitHub, which his versioning right now is a little different than what we're doing, because we take essentially some of the effort that he's done, we mix it with some of the effort that we've done, and we've been putting out the multi-miner under a different version number. So if you see his and it's like version 1.02, it's essentially the same thing. There's just some additive stuff that we've done to it. But as we start to get close to August 1st, I'm going to have a few more videos just like this one where I'm talking more about what's going on. It seems like that was a lot of good response. People like and that kind of feedback from what we're seeing on the street, and from just the mining aspects of it. So I'll try to have some more of that. We're going to... yeah, nice, Russell. You already added Expanse. Just Russell, drop a comment in there what pool you're using, and I'll see if we can add that pool. Well, I'm going to wrap this one up. We're just over 1 hour and 40 minutes. I hope that you guys hit that like button. Go out and check us out on Steemit. We're at Bitch Tripping on Steam. Give us a thumbs up. I mean, we haven't really had a lot of momentum on Steam, but if you haven't went out to Steemit, that's where we're integrating our website with that blog, so it should start to port our Steam. All of our blog stuff will come from Steemit. There, we're trying to put it out there. And then follow us on Twitter if you want to see some links and stuff whenever we get some of that new hardware in Monday. It looks like I'm going to have that 13 GPU board on Monday and the Vega. They tried to deliver the Vega on yesterday. I went out, I took the fam out and saw Spider-Man, and I came back and they had the thing saying, sorry, we tried to deliver this, so it was my fault. I did not get Vega. I should have that on Monday with the 13 GPU motherboard. We will post some pictures on the Twitter page, so even if you don't have Twitter, make some fake account, whatever, just go out there, you can follow us, and that way at least keep on the feed. I try to announce when the live streams are coming out there, and then as we start to finalize the website, we'll put out there, I mean the current website I try to put out there at least the schedule. We're going to have a section in there for the schedule for you guys can catch this live stream. If you like the daytime ones versus like the 10 o'clock at night ones, maybe we can start to adjust that too. It looks like, I mean, we're at 580 people right now, so I mean, if the earlier times help, then we'll try to make them earlier, and the we'll try to bring these a little earlier for you guys. But this next week we're looking at Tuesday to be the next stream. Tuesday you're going to want to be there. We are going to be talking the new giveaway that we're going to be doing, and then so we're going to give essentially a code and an email address that you'll send that code to, and we're going to actually let it go offline for a few days, and on the next live stream after that we'll do it. So that allows a lot of people to be able to participate in the next giveaway. That way you don't have to make the live stream, you can watch the recast of it. So we'll target early on Tuesday, probably 6 p.m. Central Standard Time for the Tuesday live stream, and we'll announce that there. Hopefully I'll have Vega in hand for you guys, and then we'll be probably building that 13 GPU mining rig. So drop us a line on there, and then obviously in the shameless plug in closing, if you're not able to do, we do all this stuff for free for you guys. We do get and take the funds that you guys do send us through super chats and through donations and stuff, and we just re-put it back right into the stuff. So all this extra hardware you guys see, like the thermal camera, the stream deck, we got a sound meter, all that kind of stuff is all purchased with those funds. So the stuff that you guys send to us, we reinvest back in this channel for you can see some of that better quality output. We take that in there. So like the shameless plug on if you're doing some Amazon shopping, hit our links down there. If you're doing some shopping, that pays through the affiliate links and helps us out on that investment back into the channel. So, and that's really the way I take care of the other BBT guys too. So thanks for your guys' continued support, and when we'll see you guys later this week. And what's up, dudes? Cryptoverse. What's going on? Let's get some folks in here. I'm busy as heck Sunday afternoon, haven't shaved. Thought we'd get into it early enough for some of the European folks. It's kind of their nighttime, so see if we can get some folks in. Make sure everything's dialed in, make sure the audio's good, make sure the video's good. We'll get some folks in here. I got the screen in front of me here. We're gonna bring up some stuff on the other screen back here. And then I'll switch to a large screen. I'm running this solo today. I got everybody's really busy. So if I go off screen a couple times, I did get a stream deck here, but it's not fully configured, and I just didn't have time to mess with it today to get it kind of configured. But this should hopefully streamline some of this stuff. That way I don't have to like give folks orders and stuff off screen, and I can get this dialed in and have a lot of stuff already queued up for you guys. Again, this was from, just folks donating and stuff to the channel. We take that right back to make the channel broadcast better. This should be coming in right now in pretty high quality. We got a nice 4K camera. Internet's still the same, but I think we got it pre-buffered enough to be able to do 60 FPS at 1080p. So it should be coming in crystal clear for you guys. And then once we get the stream deck configured, then we can get some stuff automatically set up here so I can quickly bring things up for you guys. A lot of good stuff to talk about today. A lot going on in the crypto world right now. The price continues to slip across the board on most of the cryptocurrencies. There isn't any that's really taken not a huge hit, short of maybe Litecoin hasn't probably had the highest decrease compared to some of the other ones. I think it peaked at about 55 and it's still sitting around 38. But everything's taken a beating, and I think it will continue through probably the next couple weeks at least, probably continuing to slide some. Just from looking at the market indicators that are out there, listening to a lot of other folks' analysis, some of it that makes sense, some of it that doesn't, but we'll kind of get a little bit into that. Normally I'm not talking about price and all that. It's all about just what hardware does what with particular coins and what is there to mine and stuff. But a lot of people are asking our opinion, just the BBT crew, and what's our feelings with it, and are we still mining, that kind of thing. So we'll get into that a little bit, and then we'll talk through some of the currencies that you can still mine. I'm actually going to bring up a pretty cool. So now, right now, we're talking just ETH and just difficulty. So we'll pop up in a couple. Ether. Charts and statistics, and what we're going to look at is the difficult. So the difficult chart right now is kind of leveled off right now, but I believe it retargets here in the next few days and should jump up exponentially. This growth right here is really kind of the concern of where it's really just kind of taken the profitability out of the game for a lot of folks that are mining Ethereum right now. So if you only had, and we'll open up a calculator too. we'll leave that as that. We'll put this at 840. We'll put this at 170 mega hash. And we'll see what, I don't see the difficulty on this chart here. I want one where I can manipulate the difficulty, because I don't know what difficulty this is targeting. Let's go back here. I do have the team working on a calculator for us, because I want to be able to target it with the difficulty. Yeah, see, most of these calculators are still targeting right here, which is what mattered, which was network hash rate. That is no longer the issue. So what we'll have to do is, let's see if they have the difficulty here. I think they use the difficulty on what to mine. They do. So if you have 175 mega hash, which is a pretty common rig, using 940 watts, and let's say your kilowatt an hour is that, and let's say you're paying 1.5% fees there, and let's just say you paid $3,500 for your machine. Right now, yeah, it's taking you a couple months to earn one Ethereum. This is the issue with the difficulty. So you can see this chart down here. As a matter of fact, this might be a little too low. Let me increase the display so you guys can see this. Chart that Cryptopia actually has on their exchange, because they present a really good piece of information when it comes to actually what coins are they able to mine via proof of work, and of proof of work, which ones have that are GPU friendly. Again, this is a very GPU centric channel. You don't see a ton of episodes or live stream content that has to do with ASIC mining in general. It's nothing directly against ASIC mining, or we just choose not to do big investments into ASIC mining. The graphics cards have always been a hedge and continue will be a hedge, to where there's other purposes for these things. Even after, you know, you want to get out of mining, you still can sell some of it. Some of the, you know, Bitcoin mining, ASICs and stuff like that, don't, after they've really ran out of their life cycle, they're essentially cool, you know, ornaments or something you can put in the background to show that you owned one at one time, but they really kind of lose their value. So the proof of work stuff that we'll go through today is really about there's about 39 to 40 coins out there that are tokens that you can mine with GPUs. There's only about 10 to 12 that that really have a lot of effort or some kind of development or some kind of team that's really behind them. That seems to be continuous, that we can tell. So that narrows you down to about, you know, 10 to 12 coins that are have a purpose and are trying to produce value that you can mine. So we'll kind of cover some of that, and you know, so that'd be kind of the second part. So we're going to start kind of with market stuff. We'll start then into like what can you mine, and then we'll kind of close out with some of the stuff with the multi-miners. We're trying to add some more stuff in there. We're going to try to get another release of that out tonight, which will add chain coin. We're going to add in actually a handful, chain coin expanse. We're going to add into it, I think, a few more options for Divx coin, Feather coin, and there's a few other ones that we're going to add in there. So there's about 3 to 5 new coins that we're going to add into the multi-miner. We're going to try to get that out tonight with a new version for folks. So that'll be after this episode. We have it almost wrapped up. We're also going to link to the GitHub where that's going to be stored. I got a few folks that have been working on it. I got one person that's really kind of being a heavy contributor to it, and we're going to link to his GitHub that he already has established for it, so then you guys can, versus trying to go out to Mega, wherever we upload it, you can get it right from the source. And we're having a Linux version of that start to wrap up, so hopefully you guys will have that in the next few days. So for the folks that build a raw version of the Ubuntu, or you want to completely build everything from source, we're going to try to make that happen for you guys. So again, like we do with everything, all this stuff is free. We do not, we're not putting a paywall on it. There's no dev fees built into that. The dev fee that comes with any of the multi-miner stuff is all from the actual mining software itself. That is the actual person that, like Claymore, folks that have built into the fees into their tool. So we do not add on to any other fees with that. It's purely just it's kind of a global contribution now. We kind of started the idea with that whole multi-miner, with our version of the multi-miner, and then others have contributed to it and made it better. So it's all, again, open source under the MIT license. So we're trying to make sure you guys have options there, even when you have like kind of turbulent times right now, when it is with Ethereum and just pricing in general. I mean, this is the way crypto goes sometimes. But let's go ahead and get into this. We have 300 people. I can tell the evening, the afternoon sessions seem to be a little better. So I don't have anybody watching the chat, guys. So if you're asking questions, you get frustrated, please don't. I'll if you guys put super chats or anything like that, I will get to all of those today in there. So if you want to ask questions, then I'll have a section at the very end that we'll just take some questions. So if you got some time, I'm going to try to keep it to around an hour and a half at most, and then we'll answer some questions. But let's get into kind of the I guess the elephant in the room that has to do with like not just the ETH pricing and crypto pricing in general, but the one part that I wanted to talk to specifically when it comes to the difficulty of Ethereum, which has really caused the agnostic to the price, the amount of units that you can actually accrue as you point your miner software, your miner to the Ethereum network, and what your contribution reward is for mining that network, and just that slope that continues to go with, and not really a slope, but the ascent of the difficulty as Ice Age continues as part of, since May, Ice Age, the Ethereum network is not predicated on the total hash power of the network like it used to be up through May. So for anybody who's just kind of coming in and they're like, you guys are talking, like, oh my God, there's so many people that are mining it and it's making the hash rate go up. No, it's not predicated on that anymore. In May, Ethereum switched over to the difficult bomb, essentially went off and now starts to retarget the network at an exponential rate to try to wean people off the network into getting into proof of stake. However, they're not looking like they're going to do proof of stake in this calendar year. So what I'm referring to is, and we'll have it in the description below, the Ethereum Development Foundation that meet about every couple weeks, kind of go through what they call the EIP, which is an Ethereum improvement plan. So those are kind of like, if you're in the development world, that's essentially their backlog. And they'll say an EIP number that they're working on, where there's people that have made contributions to it or people that are trying to finish an EIP number. Well, the EIP number we're referring to, I believe, is 649. Somebody can correct me in the chat, but that EIP number has to do with the difficult time bomb, and that's been going off since May. and now has risen the actual Ethereum network's difficulty to the point of really exceeding the profitability standpoint. If you're just a standard miner with a couple hundred mega hash, you're now taking several weeks to try to get a single coin, which is where the issue lies right now, where a lot of people are concerned with even with the price being what it is. It's a simple math problem to figure out, like, how long is it going to take me to just achieve 1 unit, and with it changing, it's kind of like you're chasing it down. You buy a miner, you put it on the network, you got a couple hundred mega hash, you go out, you look at a calculator, and it says, hey, it's going to take you X amount of time, let's say 2 weeks, to get a full coin. You check that after 7 days, and now it's saying, oh, by the way, you still got 2 weeks. That's the issue with the difficult. As it changes and goes up 40% or so each time it retargets, it's really kind of you chasing down to try to get that one single first coin. If you're like on something like Etherpool, or Ethermine rather, .org as your pool you're doing it in. Usually single units, you can set your denomination back to where you're getting one every like 10th of an ether, but you pay a fee for that, an additional fee. And then the folks that went straight to Ethermine, or ETHpool rather, .org, were actually what they call solo mining, which is essentially you're earning enough credits to get a full block for yourself. So that's like 5 ether, and if you're lucky, that block that you actually get awarded has an uncle, then it's a little more than that, about 8 ether. But like on a single rig right now, it used to be about 27 days, 28 days, and I think a single rig now is probably like 50 days or so. We can actually go out and take a look, and look what ETHpool.org. Oops. Failed. Kind of what a single, I like just looking out here to see what's in the realm of possible here from people that are about to get the next block. Credits, and I'll switch to this as a full screen, and showing kind of what I mean. Here, what we'll do is we'll switch the screen here real quick to where you guys can see this.